Old Firm week, probably the biggest Old Firm, well, easily without a doubt, the biggest Old Firm so far this season. Well, like you're saying, I would say the biggest, considering even though we've got a Scottish Cup final coming up, I would say it's bigger in a sense. It's the league title. It's the one we all won at the end of the day. It's one we've been aiming for. All hope was lost. We managed to pull ourselves back in it. It's one of the most wild seasons I've remembered in a long time.
Ups and downs and roundabouts, and it's been absolutely nuts. And what a way to top half a crazy season, by the way. I mean, we need to go to Parkhead and win for us to have a chat. I suppose the thing is, right, which is quite demoralising for your point of view, is that we could go there on Saturday, win 3-0 and still be second in the league.
Well, aye.
And what a tragic way to lose the league would to be losing on goal difference.
Exactly, but that's the thing. Like, I think it would make the last couple of games unbelievably exciting because it makes. See if we were to win at Parkhead, right? Levelling points is down to goal difference. What team, Rangers or Celtic, can outscore the other against different? And the thing is, when you go that,
and you're talking about us having games where we're having 40 shots.
Well, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So it's no. It wouldn't be impossible for us to go out and destroy somebody 7-0, 6-0 or something like that.
And the thing is, at the same time, like either team, because we're trying to go just outscore each other, there's so much more room for mistakes. Like
exactly.
The weird teams in the league managing to nip in behind us on the counter and stuff. Both teams could 100%.
Yeah.
Drop points towards the end of the season because see if Celtic go and win this, right? We need to, obviously 6 point gap. That means they need to lose their last 2 games. It's done.
If we don't win on Saturday, the league is done.
Aye.
The league is done. I mean, obviously it's not mathematically done, but it's surely done if we do not win on Saturday.
If we get beat, aye.
I think even if we draw.
Even if we drew, like, you think to yourself, but you also need to rely on them dropping points, which I don't think is happening, because it changes the dynamic towards the end of the season, because then you go from having to outscore the opposition to, right, we're going to tighten up now, we're going to, if we get a 1-0 win, just a slight win, then it is what it is.
If we draw with them, we need to rely on them dropping points and us beating them in goal difference. Yep. That's why I'm saying, so it's no just, you're not just counting on them getting beat. Mm-hmm. Look, let's forget about all that. We need to go there and win on Saturday. 100%. And I must admit, I'm absolutely shiting myself.
Aye.
I've been confident going into maybe not so much the last Old Firm. I thought we could have done it, and we absolutely didn't show up. We were very, very lucky to manage to salvage a point where I think on that day we had the chance to all but wrap the league title up.
100%.
And then it was like a catastrophic failure. That game, the next game, and the next game, dropping points to Ross County, dropping points to Dundee. Yeah. But now we find ourselves here, and if it's nothing else, it's absolutely nerve-wracking and exciting, all in the one. I mean, if you might, a lot of folk argue this is the best derby in the world. So what a stage for 3 games to go in the season. There's 3 points in it, and everything's to play for.
Yep.
I mean, when it's some consider it the biggest derby in the world. Well, add all the factors into it as well and say, like, there's all to play. I mean, you've played a whole season, but it could come down to this one game.
Just one game, aye. And that's what we like.
Madness.
I could rack my brain and try, and obviously it's hard to tell because of injuries and stuff like that. But I'm like, for me, the previous Old Firms, that midfield for me needs Sterling in it. There's no doubt about it. And I would put Sterling, Diamande.
We need Sterling. If he's not in the midfield, he needs to be somewhere. And it just needs to be somewhere.
Got that intelligence about him. Sterling's got the energy about
it. I highly rate Diamande. I said it since he came in the door, mate. He is a good football player. He needs over the summer he needs to add a bit of mass and physicality, and see if he does, mate. He's a very, very good football player. 100%. I'm telling you, man, he can open his body up, he's good passing, like you say, he's intelligent, he can hold on to the ball. I just think he's got a lot going for him. And like I say, he could add a bit of physicality to his game, and I think Clement will work with him on that. But for me, I highly rate him.
I think, like, obviously the Old Firms for me we've said it a million times, sound like a broken record, but the win and lost in the midfield. In the previous ones, it's been the midfield that.
So who's your midfield three then?
For me, I would put Todd Cantwell, Diamande and Sterling. But this is the question, right? So imagine Yilmaz never made it to the Old Firm this weekend, which is kind of, I think he's back in training, so is Sima, and rumoured to kind of be in and about that squad. He might not necessarily start, but if you're putting Sterling into that midfield, the only trade-off you've got is you've got to play Barisic at left back. Can you have that? Would you take that? Or would you prefer to see Sterling in at that? But the thing is, if you push Sterling back, the more than likely you've either got to have Raskin in there, who will be in there because he's not played a lot this season, or you default to Lundstrom, who, in my opinion, doesn't really suit an Old Firm because he seems to drop back and link up with the centre-backs a lot, and it just leaves that midfield to be kind of overrun. I think Diamande's got so much work to do, and let's be honest, right, Lundstrom's got a time and a place, right? And we've seen that in the Europa League run, coming back, providing that cover in the midfield, linking up with the centre-backs, keeping the ball moving, sideways passes and stuff like that, but it just doesn't work in our Old Firm.
Here's my caveat for you, right? It really depends on what sort of John Lundstrom would decide to show up on a Saturday, because I completely understand what you mean. Like, sometimes it's no set up for him, especially if we can't get going and all he does for the whole game is literally just receive from the centre backs and give back to the centre backs, or at most give it to a full back. But for me, if the John Lundstrom that we know is capable of putting in a right good high energy performance shows up, then I think he's one of the biggest physical presences that we have in the team. So again, it depends what sort of Lundstrom decides to show up
and
at the weekend.
I think that's where the negativity surrounding Lundstrom's crept in. It's not that we don't think he's got ability, it's literally that, again, it's the same with Dessers.
And he's got dig as well.
Well, that's the thing with the whole squad in general, is you don't know, at an individual by individual basis, you don't know what version of that player's actually going to turn up. You can apply that to like Dessers as well. You don't know what version of Dessers is going to turn up, and I think that's, again, it was the same with Raskin. You don't know what version of Raskin's, you don't know what version of Tav's going to turn up.
This is exactly why I'm so nervous, because I don't know what sort of team. If I get the same team for the same length of time as I did in this game as we had in the last Old Firm, then I don't really think we stand a chance, because it's different as well, because you're in front of all their fans. I mean, they've kicked on a bit over the last couple of weeks as well, there's no doubt about it. And also they've been known to rise more to the occasion. Let's just be honest, like on the Old Firm games, they've been known to rise more to the occasion, whereas we at times have been seen to go into a shell and crumble. So it is a massive game, it's a massively defining game for a lot of these players. I think Clement will make some decisions with regards to who he might keep and who might leave come the summer based on this one game and what he can get out of these players and whether they want to stand up and be counted. But again, going for what you say, is the variation in level between the players, what sort of technical performance you're going to get out of them, what sort of physical. And
well, even if you look up top, right, with front three in general, I mean, let's say Sima doesn't start, you look at that front three, and if I were to ask you, like, who's the game winner?
But I don't see. I'm struggling to see game winners in any other part. This is my big problem.
Because my problem is, when you have that game winner that's in there, they can almost drive some momentum for the team throughout the game. There's always that one player that's on it all the time, and the rest of them follow. But for me, every single game in the past couple of months, every single game with it's a common cliche with this team that we can't put two halves of football together, or we always have throughout that game that just complete drop off in concentration, drop off in mentality, that drop off in drive, and this season we've not been able to kind of pull out that and cope with that against the weird teams who have punished us for that. Never mind doing it against Celtic. You cannot, and Celtic can't do this with us either. They can't have that kind of lapse, that 10-15 minutes or that 10 minutes to kind of drop off and pick themselves back up.
Do you know what we need to do? We just need to be absolutely, we just need to gamble. We've got nothing to lose here.
Aye.
We've got nothing to lose. I don't think a point's enough, right? So we've got nothing to lose. We just need to absolutely hound them for the fucking first kick of the ball.
Yeah.
We need to be I want to see us just really go for it, man.
Aye.
And that doesn't mean just go all out attack. It means that, but it also means defend for the front. But I think I'm being far too hopeful and optimistic with that, because I think in order to do that you need a team that's very, very well drilled and a proper cohesive unit to be able to press the sort of press that I would like to see off of this team.
The thing is, again, when you go to the front three, you're like, who can lead the press? Who's there that sets the tone for it? I don't remember.
I'm just hoping we get lucky and something clicks on the day.
Well, that's the
honest,
thing.
And actually, no something clicks. Everything clicks
Aye.
on the day.
You're kind of holding it for we hope the adrenaline kicks in for these players, the occasion, because you know this team can do it. See when with that underdog status, we're going to Parkhead, or we're going against Leipzig, we're going against Dortmund, that underdog status, kind of folk aren't confident in the team, and they all of a sudden they go into the park and just play like animals, man. Animals. And
that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see, 11 animals.
Exactly.
Possessed by something, no, right?
That's the part of me, and even though you might watch this or look at all the other kind of Rangers fan communities and go, everything's so negative, you need to get behind the team. Listen, I've got that part of me that's we can 100% beat them here. If that mentality, that underdog mentality within the team kicks in, and we go, they all go, nothing to lose, we are absolutely fucking going for this.
Do you know the biggest thing? Because you build up so much anticipation and excitement and nerves and all these feelings for a game like this, right? I just can't. I don't think my nerves can take another lacklustre first 20 minutes in one of these games. Because you get so much built up adrenaline, excitement, like I say, so much emotion just ready to go, and then for your team just to not show up for the first 20 minutes.
The wind at you.
So I don't care if both teams are absolutely going for it, going for each other in the first 20 minutes, as long as we actually show up and go, we're in this game.
The thing is, if you're going, if in an Old Firm, right, you've seen it in previous Old Firm, what makes it so special is it doesn't matter what the form is for either team, it was always a 50-50, and it was almost like a cup game, anything can happen.
Aye.
And if let's say both teams are going fucking gung-ho, man, there's crosses flying in, there's shots hitting the bar and all, then you end up conceding in the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't knock the wind out you, because you're like, well, we're creating the chances, we're going for it, man, let's just make it a goal fest and may the best team win. But for me, it's when you can almost see, I mean, Tav gave us one in the last Old Firm, instantly at the start of the game, you're like, bang, there we go, I know exactly the mentality it's got to be, and it's got to be like that for the next 25-30 minutes, where we're trying to just pull ourselves out this slump, and you're just sitting watching the team going, just don't concede another one to half time, man, just don't concede it.
But we can't afford to write off a whole first half until Clement gets them into the changing room, fires a rock up their arse, and they change their mentality. No, in a game like this, you can go to Parkhead and you can be doing 3-0 at half time, because you've no showed up for the first 15 minutes. They've scored an early goal, and then it's just an onslaught with the atmosphere. They've got all of the fans behind them. That's why you need to go out and meet them toe to toe on the park for the first kick of the ball. there's no time for being asleep. No in this game.
Well,
I can't handle it.
The thing is as well, like there's in the previous kind of last couple of years, Old Firms, there's been good games, there's been exciting games, there's been end-to-end games, there's been games where one's a favourite, one isn't, the non-favourites won. Like they're obviously still exciting games, but I can't mind a last Old Firm game where I was watching it and went, this is an all-out war, man. This is just a war.
This game, if this game needs to be that, how can it no be? I mean, both teams are literally fighting for the title. I know that they say that all throughout the season, there's a title race on, there's a title... No, this game is the title fight. This is your whole season summed up in one 90-minute session. So that's crazy to think about. Do you know what I mean?
As I said, I could take... See if we went out this Old Firm and we did get beat, but we were just flying out the traps for the full 90 minutes. Like, it would be devastating if we get beat, obviously, but it would take that edge getting on the players' backs after a bit of well, you've been out, you went gung-ho, tried to outscore them, you just absolutely, everybody was committing to their tackles, everybody was doing their job and doing it really well. On top of that, adding a bit of energy, a bit of passion, a bit of drive, a bit of aggression about it. Like, as I say, it's a war. Old Firms are always 50-50s, it can go either way. You can never accept an Old Firm loss, but from a fantasy player point of view, you can, during that loss, look at that player and go,
there's nothing much else you could have done.
Aye,
that's what I want. See, at the end of the 90 minutes, I want to say there's no much else they could have done. Whether they win or lose, I want to go, there's not much else they can have done. I don't want to sit at the end of the game, obviously if we win, we'll not be reflecting on too much what Melee could have done. Obviously, that's just the way it is. But if we draw or drop points, I don't want to be sitting at the end of the game going, see if we'd have just showed up for the first half, or see if we'd have just started better, or
X player showed up in the midfield, or Y player took the chance.
But I'll tell you another thing that we've no mentioned, we'll no stick with it for too long because it's obviously going to be if, buts and maybes, but I must say there is a slight terror in my mind regarding the game being ruined, or perhaps a league title being decided by a dodgy VAR decision or something like that.
Well, we looked at that Champions League call last night. I mean, that was Real Madrid Champions League call.
That wasn't even my team, obviously. Bayern Munich, and I was devastated for them. Couldn't care less about Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or who went through. I was just watching a good game of football, a crazy turning point at the end of the game, and then one wrong decision by a linesman and a referee, and you're potentially cost. Because I was thinking, how would I feel if that was Rangers, man? And we've just we've just been cost a Champions League final potentially.
My thought was imagine that happened in that Old Firm this weekend.
I know, and that's kind of what I'm worried about. And I'm just hoping there is no dodgy decisions. Honestly, for either team, obviously, if it goes against them and it wins us the game, you'll be like, fair enough. But you've also got to remember that it's our product that's on the line as well. I mean, this is going to be a massive game showed globally.
Yep.
We do not want to make an absolute farce of our game where VAR decisions are refereeing decisions. So I'm just hoping that none of that takes the limelight, and it's about the game that's played on the pitch. There's no, because fuck me, man, we don't want the league title to be decided by a crazy handball rule or something like that, or a crazy VAR decision, you know. So it's like you say, mate, it's best team wins, and hopefully it's us.
So jump into the comments, let us know your predictions for the Old Firm this weekend. Let us know if you've got, are you confident, are you a bit slightly worried? Remember the Blue Sea Patreon's still available, the link to that's down in the description next to our socials. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.